Welcome. Today we're going to take a look at the intercompany solution from Vision 33. What I really like about this solution is that it's simple yet extremely powerful. Um, there's really no limitation from a scalability perspective. So you could have a holding company that might feed other holding companies. You could have companies in foreign countries, and also branches are fully supported. So the kinds of things that we can do, of course, are consolidation, intercompany trade. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. And then also reporting of these intercompany transactions. There's a lot more that can be done here. This solution stack really consists of Business One. However, this will work with any ERP system. So under your company umbrella, if you have multiple ERP systems with different vendors, you can still apply the Vision 33 intercompany solution. Very flexible from that perspective. Also does a really good job supporting multi-currency. So let's take a look at it in action. Let's go ahead, and I'm in a company here called my consolidation company. And in here, this is also my sales arm, and I need some inventory to sell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a purchase order in, and this purchase order is going to be to my sister company, which is my supplier. And they are called my intercompany manufacturer. So we're going to go ahead and put a purchase order into them, and I need these three items. So let's go out here, let's find these items, we'll select those, and we're going to bring those into our purchase order. And let's go ahead and let's add and view our purchase order. Now you'll also notice off to the right are some user-defined fields here related to intercompany. Because this is a generating document and nothing really has happened yet, of course, these fields are blank. But you'll also see as we move on how these fields will auto-populate. Plus, I want to mention on this purchase order, because this is an intercompany trade purchase order, this created a token or a tracking number. This number is going to follow the entire string of documents that get generated in an intercompany process. And what's neat about the reporting side of this is I'll show you how we could bring all of this together on a single dashboard or a single report. All right, so we've got our purchase order out there. Now, what we're going to do based on our solution stack, what moves data between databases is this iPaaS solution called SaltBox. And SaltBox, again, this is a Vision 33 product. What we're going to be running is this intercompany solution. And this is made up of about a dozen different workflows. Now, we put in a purchase order. And so what we expect to happen is a sales order to be created in our sister company. Now, SaltBox is what makes that happen. And it's this workflow that actually delivers that functionality. And this is a golden workflow. It's a predefined workflow. So this is set up to work the way you see it today, right out of the box. Now, what I want to do is show you what triggers off this workflow, because you should never really have to log into SaltBox. The reason I'm here is to show you the SaltBox component of this, but in reality, you'll have this set to fire off automatically based on a parameter or on a time frame. A parameter says that if a new purchase order is entered and it's an intercompany trade purchase order, kick off this workflow and automatically create the offsetting sales order. What the time will do is, in this case here, if I tick this box, every 30 minutes, every hour, every 15 minutes, once a day, twice a day, wake up and take any new intercompany trade purchase orders and then create the offsetting sales orders. All right, so let's go ahead and let's close the trigger. And what we're going to do is let's run this workflow. We put our purchase order in and let's run it. So we're going to click the play button. But again, normally you wouldn't log into SaltBox and push play, right? You're going to have that trigger, which is going to launch this workflow for you automatically. All right, so we got a response back. We can see that the trigger, it found the purchase order. Here's our purchase order, and we see that it was successfully processed. So let's go back into SAP, but this time we're going to go into our receiving database. Now, this particular database here, let me expand that. You can see this one here is minty green, so you can kind of tell the difference. What we want to do here is in this database, we want to jump in and we want to see if there were any sales orders created, and there should be. Let's go ahead and let's use our VCR keys. We'll bring up the last sales order, and here it is. Here's a sales order from our consolidation company for the 3 items, and there's that tracking number. That tracking number is following this whole transaction. Even though we're going from one database to another database or one ERP system to another ERP system, this tracking number is going to follow. All right, so let's go ahead and let's go to the next step. Let's pick these items. We're going to package them, and now we're going to deliver them. We're going to ship them back to our sister company who needs these. So we're going to add this delivery document. All right, that's done. We'll cancel out of there. And we're going to jump back into SaltBox. In SaltBox, let's go back to our list of workflows here. Let's jump into the intercompany solution. Now, what we just did is we just did a delivery. So we were in the sister company that supplies the goods, and we've just shipped them now to the company where we were at, where we placed our purchase order. So let's go ahead and let's run this workflow to create the intercompany trade documents. Again, normally you wouldn't come in here and push the play button like I did. This would be fully automated. But I want you guys to see a little bit about SaltBox and how you can come in here and you can add workflow steps. And if you want to add user-defined fields or other things, you'll have full control over these workflows. There we go. We got our success message. It's completed. So let's go back to where we started. Here's our purchase order that we put in. I'm going to do a quick refresh. You can see that that purchase order is now closed. And if we look at the relationship map, it's closed because it's been received. And that delivery we did from the other company, it received these goods for us in the company we ordered them from. So there you've seen a full intercompany trade scenario. Now, in the real world, when I ship from company B back to company A, I probably receive that into an in-transit location. I might accumulate some freight costs, and then I would receive that into the requesting company, of course, because there is an in-transit time. So we've got all the steps in between to deal with real-world scenarios. But focusing on the key issues here, full intercompany trade, all the offsetting documents are created. Now, with the reporting tools in Business One, you have the ability to now create your own reports, and that tracking number becomes very useful. So for example, if I want to see intercompany tracking for, let's say, all related documents here, we'll just run that. And that shows me tracking, all my intercompany purchase orders and related PO-related documents and the associated tracking numbers. Now, what we can do here is we can come up here and say, you know what, let's filter this data. And that tracking number, we want to grab this last one here, this one that was just, we just went through a minute ago. Filter. And now let's take a look. Now we see the purchase order for the 3 line items, and we see the goods receipt for those 3 line items. So I know exactly where my purchase order or where my intercompany my intercompany order is for this particular tracking number. Now this tracking number, if you haven't guessed it, it's nothing more than an automated date timestamp. But you can use your own logic. So if you want this to be a smart number, intelligent number, the sky's the limit. Now what we have left to do now is we need to report on this information. These queries are great, but it only gives you half the story, right? I've got my purchase half on this database, and then of course I could log over to my other database here, and I could get the sales side of the story through its set of memorized queries. But what can bring all of those together are several different solutions. SAP Analytics Cloud being one of those, but the one I'm going to show you today is a solution called SharperLight. And so let's go ahead and let's start up SharperLight, and let's minimize a few things here. Here we go. And we're going to start up the SharperLight reporting pack. Now, SharperLight is a really neat tool. It gives me the ability to pull data in from multiple databases and run all kinds of reports, profit and loss statements, balance sheets, P&Ls, sales by quarter, by month, agings, you name it. And so what we've done with SharperLight as an example or a proof of concept here is I've created an intercompany tracking page. And I love this because this is a tool everybody's familiar with. Most people have been in Excel at least once in their life, and it's a pretty familiar tool. No matter what ERP system you're using, SharperLight really makes it simple. So I could come in here and double click on tracking number. You can see it's now connecting to the database. And here's a list of all our tracking numbers, including the one that we just did a second ago. So let's go back in time. Let's look at this one here. And this one says that on this intercompany scenario, we created the purchase order. That went over and created the offsetting sales order, but unfortunately that sales order hasn't shipped yet. Now let's go out and select the tracking number that was just created with our latest entry here. And that populates. Now we can see there's those 3 items we wanted. They were, that purchase order was properly copied over as a sales order. That sales order was picked, packed, and shipped. And then that shipment arrived back at our originating company on the same date, 5/6, which happens to be today, actually. All right, so that's an example of the reporting. And what you're seeing here, this is all over the map. You could design all kinds of reports and ways to slice and dice your data. So at this point, we'll go ahead and conclude. And I really want to thank everybody for watching.